Yeah, I'm recording now.
Okie doke. Then let's get started with session number 2, where we're kind of going over the program I designed for you, and you've got more time to ask questions if you need to. This is mostly going to be about going over that warm-up, break time, and cool-down routine. And then you'll see I did also do kind of 2 versions, like a quick fix tilting routine. One that's more burn all your energy off, and one that's more like calm down and breathe. So we'll kind of go over all 5 of those different sections of the piece, and we'll start with the anti-tilting routine, because that's something
routine 1.
The anti-tilting routine.
Yeah, but there's 2. We have routine 1 and routine 2.
Yes, so the routine 1 is the version where you just burn off all of your angry energy by doing things. This one's probably going to be easier to do, say, at home versus at a tournament, just because of space available. Right. But it's basically for 30 seconds, you do as many push-ups as you can, and then for 30 seconds, you do as many squats as you can. You will be tired at the end of it, and then you'll be less angry. Awesome. The other one, though, that you may find more helpful, especially for tournaments when you're trying to like calm down and untilt, is more focused on breathing and basically relaxing, especially through your chest and through your shoulders, where a lot of us tend to hold our tension over time when we get stressed. So the 3 components of it there. The first one listed there is 5 bicep stretches with diaphragmatic breathing. And so there's 2 parts to that exercise. Part number 1 is the
diaphragmatic breathing.
Yes, we're going over that. Most of us breathe kind of up into our chest and our shoulders. Like you'll see your shoulders or your chest kind of rise and expand as you take a breath in. But you can also focus on breathing into the lower lobes of your lungs with a diaphragmatic breath, which is basically trying to breathe and almost trying to fill up your belly with air. So it's more breathing down into your belly than up into your chest. So if you're doing this one right, I'm going to exaggerate it a little bit. Breathe in, your belly's going to come out rather than your chest coming up. So it's more about.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's going to feel weird. And doing too many diaphragmatic breaths in a row can make you hyperventilate, which is why I've only got you doing 5 at a time.
Okay.
We're going to combine that breath, that breathing down into your belly, with a stretch for your biceps, where you'll just lock your hands behind your back.
Should I try it?
Yep, absolutely. Lock your hands behind your back. Turn your palms down.
Oh,
good. And if it's easier to turn yep, there we go. And then you're going to take that breath into your belly while your arms come up. So good. Just 5 easy breaths like this.
I like it.
It does really force you to kind of change your mindset from what you're doing and just stop and breathe. And we do also know that how you breathe has a big effect on how you play. The more oxygen your brain is getting, the better your reaction time, the better your attention, the better your kind of visual memory will be. So that's exercise number 1 in the anti-tilting routine. Exercise number 2 we call no monies, because it looks like you're reaching into your pockets and taking your hands out and saying, I got no money. Your elbows will be at your sides. Your palms will be right in front of you. You're going to do that again, taking a deep breath in, and you're just going to turn your palms out. So it'll look like this. Yep, and you'll feel your shoulder blades come back and together as you do this, sitting up straight a little bit.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
It's also a great little postural reset exercise. So even if you're not tilted, but you notice you've been slumping for a while, just doing 5 or 10 of these can really help you reset your posture and get back to that good positioning. Good. And then the last one in the anti-tilting routine is just 10 shoulder rolls. So 5 forward, 5 backwards. This is because when you get real stressed, your shoulders start to creep up towards your ears. You get all tight and tense. And so doing some nice shoulder rolls to relax can help. So there's our anti-tilting stuff. Let's get into a little bit of like the warm-up and break time and cool down stuff. The goal is that these become things that are easy and habitual, that you don't have to think about them or pay attention to them, that they're kind of just habits and easy to remember to do as a result of it, not something you have to give conscious effort to doing. You mentioned that you have that lifting class. So I wanted the first exercise in your warm-up to be something that kind of puts you in that mindset of, I'm about to do badass shit, which lifting generally is. So you're going to start with 10 ass to grass ATG squats, which means you're going to do full range of motion. You're going to go all the way from standing all the way up, squatting all the way to the floor, and coming back up.
Oh, I have a space here.
That's okay. You don't have to do these with me if you don't want to. I'm
okay.
All right, so 10 squats. My cat is looking at me very oddly while I do these, by the way. Sometimes I have to wait when I'm doing workouts. And folks, if you have pets at home and you'd like to do a good workout, you can always squat with your pets. My cat does not like being squatted with, apparently. So 10 ass to grass squats to start things out. Then you'll do 10 shoulder rolls each direction, so 10 backward. Yes.
So I should do this before playing.
Yes, this is your before playing thing. And then 10 forward. So we go from a really big general warm-up that is whole body movements like the ass to grass squats down to more specific and precise movements like in your hands.
Nice.
We've done whole body, shoulders, then we're doing wrists. So 10 wrist rolls in each direction, making circles with your wrists. On any given day, the amount of mobility you have might be different. So what you should do in terms of how far you push your range of motion is whatever's available to you that day. If you're a little stiff, work within that smaller range of motion. If you're really loose, work within that larger range of motion. Just do whatever your body has available to it.
All right.
Then you'll do 10 tendon glides, which I'm going to come in closer to the camera for this because otherwise it'll be hard to see. You're going to roll down and then up. So it's just rolling straight down, straight up, almost like you're trying to make sure you don't drop something in your hands. Also like really imprecise bogey. And then last, you'll finish off with just 10 hands open, hands closed, basically wide as you can spread your hands, and a nice tight fist. So the reason that we're doing a warm-up this way as opposed to doing hand warmers with like actual, heat hand warmers is heated hand warmers will give you local blood flow. So they'll increase the amount of blood you're getting to the area, which is good. We want that. But it doesn't cause you to use your muscles at all. It doesn't wake things up. It doesn't promote that neuromuscular connection. All it does is bring heat and bring blood flow to the area. If you're doing an active warm-up that is doing a series of exercises like this, you're not only bringing heat and blood flow to the area, you're also activating the muscle. You are causing it to contract, to move, to work. And that's going to put you in a better position when they have to contract and move and work when you're about to play. So that's the warm-up.
That's the warm-up.
That should take like under 5 minutes. Okay. Super easy to fit in and something you can absolutely do at like the corner of your pool station. All right, so between sets, this one is supposed to be getting you a bit of a mental reset, but also keeping your hands warm, making sure that you don't get cold or tight in between. Some of these are standing, some of these are seated. The goal here is that we get you moving a little bit so you're not just stuck in the chair the whole time. So the first thing you'll do is just 10 calf raises, up on your toes 10 times, getting some good blood flow into your legs and getting you up out of a sitting position. Good. Yeah. And then we'll follow that up with a seated twist. So you're going to be twisting side to side. You can either do this by reaching down towards the floor and turning, or if you're in a little more limited space, you can just reach to the armrest and kind of turn your body that way. Again, the goal is just getting a little bit of movement, keeping things warm, and keeping a good mindset. All right. And then you're going to do a clasped hand stretch for your upper back, which is especially good when like you've started to get real tight and tense up in here. So put your hands out in front of you. Good. Turn your palms out and away from each other. Good. Then cross your hands. Good. So you're going to pull your hands away while you round your back. Good. And this should feel like a stretch between your shoulder blades along the top of your shoulder blades. Yep.
It feels so tense actually from that part, and I can feel it now.
Yep. If you need to tuck your head down, that can give you a little bit of extra stretch. This is also the kind of stretch that if you ever have access to like a corner or like a post that holds up a room, you can grab onto that and pull instead, get an even better stretch.
Okay.
So you'll just hold that for 30 seconds because again, that's something you can do at your station. And then you're just going to do 30 seconds of a wrist flexion stretch and 30 seconds of a wrist extension stretch, which will look like the 30 seconds of flexion is going to look like this, with your palm coming down and your elbow coming straight. Good. You can use your other hand to push, or if you're trying to be efficient and stretch both hands at the same time, you can lean them on something.
Against
like
something,
chair,
right?
the edge of your desk. Exactly. The goal is getting those wrists to bend, and you should feel those kind of up the back of your forearm.
I do.
Yep. This was actually even more relevant for pad players than stick players, but it is definitely relevant for us stick players too. And after 30 seconds of this one, you're just going to flip in the other direction, doing an extension stretch. So it'll look like this. And again, you can do this against the edge of a chair or against the edge of a desk if you want to do both hands at the same time. This one you should feel right along the front of your forearm. If you're feeling this one really, really intensely in your wrist, like right across here, you might be pulling back a little bit too hard. So in that case, you can always bias it more towards your fingers so that it's pulling more through your fingers than.
But elbows always have to be straight, right? Like this.
So it depends. Most of the time, in order to get a good stretch, your elbows are going to need to be straight. But if you've got a day where you're really tight, you might start to feel a stretch like here, and that's fine. You might not be all the way straight there, and that's okay. As long as you're feeling the stretch, that's the important part. The goal is, of course, to be at that point where your elbow is straight, and that's fine. But on some days, that's not going to be the case, and that's okay. That doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means you're tight that day.
Oh.
So that break routine, 10 calf raises, 10 twists, the rhomboid stretch like this, wrists forward, wrists back. Done in under 2 minutes.
All right, so we went already over everything.
Only one left to go. We got the
cool down.
This one is kind of to get you out of the competitive mindset, get you ready, shifted to like whatever you're doing after pools, whatever you're doing after brackets. Whether it's you need to go to bed because you've got early pools the next day, whether it's you don't want to be constantly thinking about your last match when you go out and hang out with friends. This is just to kind of calm your muscles down, relax your mind a bit, and kind of get you shifted out of that I'm doing badass shit mode, which is great, but you probably don't want to be stuck in that mode forever.
Right.
So you're going to do 10 seated, what we call cat camels, which is normally done in quadruped on all fours, but that's not terribly feasible at a tournament. People are going to look at you weird if you get down on all fours and start doing stretches. So instead, you're just going to round your back and then arch your back. Rounded posture, everything hunched down, backward. And you're just doing that forward back motion, nice and slow and easy,
so
nothing too crazy fast. 10 times. I think it's supposed to look like, I don't know how there's a camel involved. I just know that this looks like an angry cat. Exercise is weird. Second one. Something like the seated twist, but this time you're holding it because this time it's a stretch and not something you're trying to do to be active. So again, you can either do this one reaching down or just reaching across, where you're just rotating your body and getting a nice stretch through your back, especially through your upper back. On that side, switching sides. It's tighter than the other, and again, that's okay. That very much depends on your dominant hand, how well balanced you are in terms of using both hands. Again, with any stretch, you want to work within the range of motion that's available to you that day. Some days you'll have more than others, and that's okay.
Okay.
And then the last two stretches, and the cool down.
Flexor stretch.
For your hips and for your low back. Yep, so the hip flexor stretch is about opening up your hips across here. You'll be in a kind of lunged position, 1 foot forward, 1 foot back, and you're just pushing that back hip forward and toward the ground so you feel a stretch right across the front of your hip. For those of us who spend a long time sitting, this tends to get pretty tight. Doing this hip flexor stretch really helps open up that hip space again, so you're not getting too tight and bound down. And the reason it's really important to not get too tight in this region, things pulling on your hips then causes them to pull on your back, which causes them to pull on your shoulders, which causes them to pull on your arms. And all of that can lead to kind of breakdowns in the kinetic chain across, from the hips up to the top of your body. And especially when it comes to your back, your hips being in a position that isn't nice and neutral can definitely cause low back pain, which I think a lot of us who spend a lot of time sitting tend to have.
And I actually, I flex a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I do flex a lot, so that's going to help.
Okay. All right, and then the last one is a standing QL or quadratus lumborum stretch. And your quadratus lumborum is this band of muscle right at the base of your spine, right where it meets your hips. For this one, if you have a corner available to you, you can reach across and just grab onto the wall. Alternately, it's just sliding one hand down the side, sliding the other hand up and over. You may need to experiment with rotating your torso a little bit, whether it's twisting forward or twisting back to get the best stretch. I find that I need to twist forward a little bit for 30 seconds. And with every stretch, remembering that you need to the other way too. You also need to make sure to remember to breathe during stretches. A lot of us, when we're doing something that requires effort or exertion, that tends to cause us to hold our breath. You're trying to get your body to relax. That can make it tense up more. So those slow, easy breaths while you're finishing up your cool down will definitely help with mindset as well.
Oh, I love it.
So all in all, none of these routines should take you more than like 5 minutes. They should all be things that are quick, easy, kind of fit into your routine.
And things to do before or even in between, or maybe even after, absolutely. If I get tilted, yeah.
Exactly. And one of the really great things about working with Exo Academy is that you've got a little bit of an extra audience right now. So you've got a whole bunch of people that like you can teach this stuff to. Now that you know like the value of it, when it kind of fits into your schedule, this is the kind of thing that you can be like, all right, I'm streaming for a while. I'm going to show you the good habits I'm developing. Like, here's my anti-tilting routine. You guys should try it. It works for me really well. And then you've got a whole bunch of people who aren't tilting. And before you know, all of our matchmaking is so much better because nobody's tilted anymore. Secretly, that's my entire mission. Just untilt everyone.
Nice. Well, thank you for the advice. I'll take it.
You're welcome. Wishing you all the best when you compete. I'm very excited to see how you do.
I've actually been doing good. I've been practicing a lot lately. My competitive drive is over the top right now.
Excellent. That's what we love to hear. I'm sure you're going to do great. And like, I think the single most important thing you can keep in mind, mindset-wise, you're doing all this because you love video games, because this shit is fun. It. And you get to compete in it now, which is like...
I get to travel to meet cool people and all this.
Exactly. More than anything else, like, yeah, the competition is super important, especially for, working within this program. But like the competition and the fun should be equally important. Do it.
And I'm doing what I love. That's the most important thing. I'm doing what I love.
Well, you carry on doing what you love then, all right?
All righty.
All right. It was lovely to work with you. Wishing you all the best when you compete. I think that's it for today.
That's it for today.
All right. I'm always here if you do have questions, even once the program ends, even after you compete. Feel free to just shoot me a message on Discord or Twitter.
Thank you.
I'll be around. All right.
Thank you. Well, thank you so much for your time, Cait. You too.